Hello there. It's that time again when we talk business, finance, the economy and investments in Nigeria, and of course, keeping tabs on the global business environment. Now, this is Business24 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you from the Central Business District of Abuja. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
And I am Sophie Aigbomia. Together with Chimobi, we shall unravel the business figures for you. Thanks again for joining us on the program.
Now, after more than 6 months in the oven, the 2018 appropriation bill sent to the National Assembly in November 2017 by President Muhammadu Buhari is ready for consumption.
That's right, Chimobi. The bill was passed 2018 after a long delay that got many anxious and asking questions.
Well, all that has been laid to rest now with the signing of the budget, and as you would expect, that has elicited reactions too.
And of course, that is our focus on the program today, including an update on efforts at entrenching open government's partnership.
Now, our complementary segments are very much part of the show, talking about moving Nigeria beyond oil, capital market review, and entrepreneur and CEO of the week. Our export tips is also part of it.
All that for your delight after the break. Straight on to business. Now, it is generally acknowledged that government is the biggest spender in the Nigerian economy, hence the attention devoted to its spending plans.
That's right. Let's then begin with refreshing your minds on the journey of the 2018 budget.
Specifically, I would like to bring your attention to the following key projects and programs that are determined to implement in 2018. A 9.8 billion naira for Mambila hydropower project, including 8.5 billion as counter funding. B 20 billion naira counter funding for earmarked transmission lines and substation. C 35.4 billion naira for the National Housing Program. D 10 billion naira for the second Niger Bridge. And E about 300 billion naira for the construction and the rehabilitation of the strategic roads mentioned earlier. This administration remains committed to pursuing agenda-sensitive, pro-poor, and inclusive growth. We are keenly interested in catering for the most vulnerable. Accordingly, we have retained the 500 billion naira allocation to the social intervention program. Under the program, 100 billion naira has been set aside for the social housing program.
The 2018 capital budget is designed to align expenditure to long-term objectives, sustainable development, as well as fiscal consolidation, inclusive growth and job creation, stabilization of the welfare of Nigerians.
We have 9.8 billion naira for the Mambila project. I think the Mambila project is a very good project, it's a priority project, and the government should be encouraged to pursue it.
The executive side of government must look into the area of improving our tax basis.
If we look at the past, we will all realize that there is a major problem in the implementation process.
As we are aware, the budget is made up of the expenditure and the revenue side. So while we are analyzing the expenditure, we'll also be mindful of how to advise the government on increasing the revenue. Because without the revenue, you will have no money to do the expenditure. And then, of course, we must also try to point out in the course of the debate how we'll be able to reduce the deficit.
Bill read the third time and passed.
In security, there was this increase of 46.72 billion. Health, we have 57.15 billion. Power, works and housing, 106.50 billion.
This bill is read the third time and passed. A lot has been said on the areas of how we could have passed the budget earlier, and I think there's definitely room for improvement in the area of cooperation and collaboration between the executive and legislative arm of government.
The National Assembly made cuts amounting to 347 billion naira in the allocation to 4,700 projects submitted to them for consideration, and introduced 6,403 projects of their own amounting to 578 billion naira. Many of the projects cut are critical and may be difficult, if not impossible, to implement with the reduced allocation. Some of the new projects inserted by the National Assembly have not been properly conceptualized, designed, and costed, and will therefore be difficult to execute.
Now, after the President's assent to the bill, the ball was in the court of the Ministry of Budget and National Planning to explain to Nigerians the content of the 2018 budget, tagged Budget of Consolidation. Leah Katun Babatunde tells us more.
When the Nigerian economy slowed and entered into a recession in 2016, government rolled out the Strategic Implementation Plan (SRP) to support the 2016 expansionary budget. This was followed with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan (ERGP) in 2017, a medium-term plan designed to build sustainable growth, and its key reform initiatives were infused with the 2018 budget.
We want to fire on the two cylinders of oil and non-oil. We need oil to help us to develop non-oil. And that is why we're looking at the joint venture oil assets to take some from oil and move into non-oil.
This is the largest ever budget by the federal government.
These public presentations are not mere rituals, but rather reflect the present administration's commitment to open governance. In July 2016, Mr. President signed Nigeria on to the Open Government Partnership, the OGP. A key aspect of the OGP framework is a commitment to opening up the budget and the processes thereof to all relevant stakeholders.
The breakdown shows 7.17 trillion naira projected revenue. It is 30.26% above that of 2017. 9.12 trillion naira expenditure and 1.95 trillion naira deficit, representing a deficit to GDP ratio of 1.74%.
We plan to continue to spend more on ongoing infrastructure projects that have potentials for job creation and inclusive growth. We will continue to leverage private capital and counterpart funding for the delivery of infrastructure.
A major concern is the rising human population, which is not in tandem with economic growth. In addressing fundamental human development challenges, the 2018 budget will see the delivery of key projects and initiatives in agriculture and rural development, defense, education, health, housing, power, social intervention, and lots more. In achieving this, Minister Odoma says growing the economy requires strategic partnerships with the private sector, and government is ready to go all the way.
Thank you, Leah. So how does the public come into all these, especially in making the budget a success? We got to the streets, and this is what we found. The signing of the 2018 budget by President Muhammadu Buhari didn't go without reactions as Nigerians expressed enthusiasm that the budget, tagged Budget of Consolidation, will go a long way in actualizing the dreams of the present administration in emancipating the country from the harsh economic realities. The NTA News camera lens found its way to the streets of Abuja to sample the views and expectations of the people concerning the signing of the 2018 budget of 9.12 trillion naira, and this is how they reacted.
Budget being signed by the president of the country. You know, everybody has been expecting the signing of the budget since January 2018. But because of the different controversies between the Senate and the delayment of the budget being sent to the president for the signing, that is the reason why you see everything being delayed. But now that the president has signed the budget, both the contractors, everybody now will start calculating on how to hit the ground running, because now that the president has signed the budget, I think everybody now will be happy.
For Mr. Akanya, it's not just about signing the budget, but the full implementation in order to reflect the true state of the change initiative of government, which include infrastructural development and social investment program, among others.
We don't know, it can be signed, but those that work with him, we don't know whether they are going to release it to take it, do what they want Nigeria to favor from there.
Nigerians are expecting serious implementation of the budget so that it will reflect massively on the welfare of Nigerians, so that everybody will benefit. All the sectors of the economy should feel the impact of the budget.
It was the consensus of respondents that the executive and legislative arms of government work together in achieving the January to December cycle of future budgets. In Abuja, Chimobi Walter Naji for Business24.
Like we say in Nigeria, the common man on the streets giving his impression on the 2018 budget. Well, Chimobi, I hope you will tell me before the end of the show who the common man is.
I'll really find you an answer someday, Sophie. Now, Kunle Adeye sought the views of some economic experts on the 2018 budget, and this is what he got.
The 2018 appropriation of 9.12 trillion naira was eventually signed by President Muhammadu Buhari 7 months after it was presented to the National Assembly. One of the questions to ask is, despite the delay in passing the bill, can the budget address the major economic needs in the country? An economic analyst, Yushau Aliyu, noted that the depth analysis of the budget tilts towards the economic diversification drive of the federal government.
All the input that are there has been advanced to the National Assembly, and we hope that the right thing has been done by the National Assembly in terms of project and also government services. So the breakdown based on what we saw is encouraging, based on the fact that the economy is recovering. That is one. Two, it is also the attempt of the government to consolidate the gains made from the recovered economy.
On how it can be effectively implemented, he offers some tips.
Government must be strict to help the economy by working with all stakeholders. The stakeholders, meaning the executive arm of government, should facilitate the releases. The National Assembly, in their oversight function, should also discharge their responsibility. Civil society group must also come into this to make sure that all the projects mentioned, either 10,000, 5,000 or 6,000, you look at the geographical spread of the budget. The civil society has to go and make sure that this project is ongoing. The ongoing project is still being patronized by the government.
As regards other aspects of the economy that should receive attention, Aliyu said it will consolidate the economy that has come out of recession.
Remember, the budget of 2018 is a budget of consolidation, so we are expecting a different strategy in 2019 budget. Looking at the history that the 2016 it was budget of transition. In 2017 it was the budget of recovery. In 2018 is going to be budget of consolidation gains. So if you are consolidating gain, you need to maximize time.
Kunle Adeyeye for Business 24.
Well, moving on now. The oil and gas free zone located in the South-South geopolitical zone is described by experts as critical to Nigeria's industrial revolution. This is not only because of its strategic location by the sea, but also its use on heavy technology.
At a time, the government is seeking to improve on technology acquisition for the sustained diversification of the economy. The oil and gas free zone has attracted and retained not less than 200 local and international companies.
So, our Chief Executive Officer of the week is the man at the center of it all, Umana Okon Umana, the Managing Director of the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority.
The Nigerian Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority was established to offer investors an environment free from oil burden of the custom exercise zone. With the mandate to address industry-specific needs of the oil and gas sector, the agency over time has attracted more than $20 billion in investment and created more than 100,000 jobs. Umana Okon Umana is the managing director of this agency, whose other mission is to attract and retain foreign direct investment.
When I took over as managing director late in 2016, what I did was to review the status quo and then see what else we could do to grow investments in our oil and gas free zones. So we developed a roadmap which we launched in the first quarter of 2017. And one of the key goals in that roadmap is to grow investments and investors in our oil and gas free zones over a 3-year period.
A one-time Commissioner for Finance and Secretary to the State Government of Akwa Ibom, Umana brings on board a wealth of experience that has helped to shape the direction of the oil and gas free zone, taking bold steps that have started yielding positive results.
Reviewing our timelines and coming out with a reviewed service charter, we reduced, for example, the time necessary to approve, required to approve license from 28 days to 14 days. In the past, when all requirements have been met, it would take about 38 days to approve a license for a prospective investor. And then we also ensured that for the processing of cargoes in the free zones, cargoes that come through the ports, it will take a maximum of 48 hours to process, approve, and deliver for our clients. And we have kept to that commitment.
A recipient of 2 international awards within 1 year, the authority can be best described as the bride of the moment, as more investors have indicated interest in partnership with the agency, charting the course to sustainability. The oil and gas free zone remains a vital part of Nigeria's development, offering incentives to investors and generating revenue for government.
In the first quarter of this year, we licensed another developer within the oil and gas free zones, and that is Notori Chemicals Industries Limited. They're very well positioned, and they'll be attracting about $6 billion of investments over the next 3 years.
Omana says the desire for it to be the one-stop shop for investors in that sector is achievable with the support of the federal government offered by the present administration.
Well, when all transactions are done and you are ready to ship your products to the international market, it is important that you are armed with these export tips as presented by our in-house experts. Femi Boyede.
If you are selling free on board, it means that you can only charge for the unit price of your product. You have added the cost of taking it, maybe it's from farm gate all the way. If you warehoused it somewhere in Isolo before it got to the port in Apapa, the cost of handling and all of this, everything that goes into the costing of that product until it lands on board. That is the OB, free on board or freight on board, until it gets to the board of the ship. And then, of course, your profit margin. That's your FOB price. The buyer might say he wants you to arrange insurance, or he will arrange insurance, he wants you to arrange freight, or he can do any combination he wants. He might decide it is cost and insurance. These are payment terms. Payment options could be by letter of credit. And if it is letter of credit, believe me, you need to be absolutely correct, even to the commas and full stops in the letter of credit. It must not be at variance with the quotation, the export offer that you made and that was agreed. It will tally with the terms of your letter of credit. You could have a bill for exchange or bill for collection. You could have cash against delivery and all those other terms. But these days, if you are one of the shoppers, the online shoppers locally, you are actually building your capacity for international shopping. Whether you are the one selling or you are the one buying. Now you have PayPal, just like you have Quick Teller addressing the payment gap in Nigeria. You could have something like PayPal. You could have the other escrow arrangements, wherein you do not have to go to the bank to start talking about letter of credit. When you have gotten to this level as a one-man business exporter, then you need to be very versatile. You need to be very concerned about the legal aspects. That's the next thing that you need to know. You need to be very knowledgeable, you need to be versatile, and you need to be concerned about the legal aspects of an export transaction. Every export offer tries to put, in fact, when you even get the export contract, you will see the buyer would always prefer to have arbitration in case of failure to deliver. Arbitration will be in the international exchange, maybe in London, maybe in Paris, maybe in New York. And they always want to make this contract to be binding and guided by the laws of their own countries. This is the reason why also you will need to understand, or you need to get a lawyer to interpret for you the legal aspects and legal content of your export offer. I hope this hasn't been too technical, because if it is, well, we will know from your questions and we will go through this again next time.
Up next is the review of the capital markets.
The equities market closed for the week on a negative note, with the all-share index depreciating by minus 0.76% to close at 37,862.53 basis points.
Well, it is on that note that we draw the curtain on today's episode. We do hope it was profitable. I am Sophie Aigumia. See you next week.
We appreciate your contributions and mails on the program. Now, the contact is on your screen. Join us next week. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Have a wonderful week.